Welcome to the Small Business Recovery Task Force. Councilmember Mitchell, do you want to kick us off? I'm used to having you in the room beside me.
Tracy and Holly, I gave you all a break this morning. So good morning, everyone, to the members of the Small Business Task Force. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a quick housekeeping. Mayor Pro Tem will be joining us a little later on, as well as Council Member Bakari. They both caught up in early meetings. They're running a little over. And what I'd like to do at this time, can everyone introduce themselves, who's on the call?
Good morning, Dimple Ashmore, committee member.
Good morning, D'Alva Wilson, committee member as well.
Good morning, Mark Bittner.
Good morning, Vinay Patel, committee member.
Good morning, Chad Turner, committee member.
And I know we have a special guest, but we'll have Tracy introduce our special guest who is with us this morning. Okay. Mayor Pro Tem? Julie?
Did you all get started already or sweet?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. There you go. Okay, Tracy, I'm going to turn it over to you and Holly as we go through the 4 agenda items. Take it away for us. I'm going to try to be respectful that we will get everyone out of here no later than 11:30.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember Mitchell. Today we wanted to update everyone just really on our progress since your May 19th task force meeting in 3 particular areas we've really been focused on underneath that SURVIVE strategy, which is the access to capital, our partner support, and our open for business platform. So I'm going to go to probably the one that is the most important to everybody, is the access to capital. As you can see, this is what you all approved on the 19th of May. And we have been working extensively on some of these areas, and again, we'll go over those. So the access to capital is the first one. Council task force approved this on May 19th. Council approved it on May 26th, and really over the past 10 days or so, we've been working very hard to put this into motion and get this capital into the community and into the hands of small businesses that really need it. We heard you all very loud and clear that speed and efficiency with doing this was very important. And so we have selected and working with the Foundation of the Carolinas to assist us in administering this particular piece of the SURVIVE strategy. Michael Marsicano and his team are joining us on the phone today. And I'm going to walk you through everything, and then we can maybe ask questions. We've selected the foundation. They have been a great partner for us and working with us over the past 10 days to really deliver this program efficiently and, like I said, getting the access out into getting the capital out into the community. But beyond that, they do so much great work in our community. And Michael shared with me, last year they did over 19,000 grants, and so far this year they have done 65,000 grants. And so they really are a grant-making machine, and that piece was important to us. Also, as we walk through this and how we're going to implement the access to capital, we really feel like this is the right partner because there's so many other aspects that are good news stories for our community that I'll talk to you about, and Michael can also chime in on. So first, deploying the critical small business financial relief, we are going to look at doing $15 million for both the 0 to 5 businesses, the micro businesses, and then the 6 to 25 employees, small businesses, with $10,000 for micro businesses and 25,000 for small businesses. And let me walk you through the numbers of that really quickly. Our data is that there's approximately 6,883 micro businesses, 3,717 small businesses. In total, that's 10,600. If we do 15 million for each, that's approximately 2,100 grants. And so we can reach just under 20% of our small business community. And we felt like that's a pretty significant impact. We hate the fact that we can't reach everybody, but that is significant in our efforts. The other piece of this is that we will randomly select organizations or businesses throughout our community, ensuring that we have an even geographical representation. And that's really important for everybody. It's not the first application received or the order received. We're going to randomly select, also making sure that we are evenly distributing this throughout our community. It's really important to us from that aspect. And then we will give priority to businesses that have not received federal or state funding at this time. Also, another aspect of this that is unique is that we are going to have a focus on education and accessibility. We're giving the priority to education and outreach, getting out into the community so that we can reach businesses that might, like we said, have not received service yet, but might need help in getting through the application process. It's been very important to us that we create an application process that is efficient, it's not cumbersome, but we want to make sure that we are getting out into the community and being accessible to anybody who may need it. One of the pieces of the strategy that the foundation has helped us put together is they're going to use people in the community from another nonprofit that have employees that have been furloughed. So a part of this is getting part of our community opportunities for work, again, to get out in the community and help educate. We will do the application process in Spanish as well, and potentially other languages upon request. The businesses must be in operation before January 1st, 2020, and we'll have accessible options for documenting active business operations. I think we have a list of required documents, and we're saying it's what, 3 from those. And then priority to use furlough or unemployed contract employees for program administration, which is the piece that I just mentioned. I'm going to stop there. Let me see if I have another slide. Oops, excuse me. Yep, let me talk about timeline really quick before I stop. Apologize. Our timeline, and this probably is what's most important to everybody, is to launch the phase 1 application on June 22nd. And we're going to do this in 2 phases so that we do have time to get out into the community and help people. So we'll have a $15 million phase 1 and a $15 million phase 2. But we're going to break phase 1 into 2 phases. And the first round of checks and capital would essentially go out by the end of this month, with the second round following in early July. The second phase 2 application deadline would be July 20th, and the checks going out on August 3rd. Again, trying to get money out quickly, but then also making sure that we are giving the ones that need the most help the ability to get the education and get the access that they need to fill out a successful application. Now I'm going to stop and pause and see if anybody has any questions.
Councilmember Ashmere.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, Tracy, for walking us through an update on this program. I have a couple of questions around the timeline. I know that many businesses are struggling and they need capital as soon as possible. And I know at some point we had discussed about opening up the application as soon as June 8th. What changed?
Thank you, Councilmember Ashmera. These things are incredibly, I'm not going to say cumbersome, but there's a lot of steps to build this out. And as we have talked to different partners in the community, as well as the foundation, it's very important that we put something out that is successful. And so to design the program and align all of the pieces of it takes a couple of weeks. The work did not start on May 26th. We started it actually before, but we would see more failure, we think, if we tried to prop something up that failed or crashed, essentially. And so establishing the application process, working through the details of the partnership with any administrator, and then getting the digital component of this teed up and ready to go just takes some time. I can assure you that our team, as well as the foundation team, are working as hard as we can. The foundation, Michael can tell you, we beat up on pretty hard about the timing and getting this out into the community, because again, we have heard you, that getting this out is very important, and we are working as fast as we possibly can. But these things do take a little bit of time.
I understand. So I guess was the original timeline of June 8th, was that based on LISC timeline? Because I know LISC had been working with us for CDBG funding. So I wonder if this resulted, if this was due to the change in our partners.
No, actually, it was not. And what I can tell you is LISC has been a great partner. They are still working on getting the CBDG funds and the microbusiness loans out. They're still working through that process. Their proposal that LISC had discussed with us, their timeline was actually a week later than this, on June 29th. And so, as I mentioned, I'm not sure where the June 8th date ever came from. It might have been a target date, but right now, from probably about the 19th, we have been working as hard as we can to get a schedule together that is the fastest.
I appreciate, Tracy, your team has been working very hard, Holly and everyone else. And they've been holding the fort down. I have a couple of questions around the administrative fee or management fee. Has that changed? I know we were in negotiation with partners to reduce that fee. What is it looking, how is that looking right now with Foundation?
Our total program budget for this is $2.3 million. The foundation fee is only $675,000. We have program setup fees, as well as I talked about using some employees around the community that have been furloughed to help us do the outreach and the community education. And so that is another component of it at about $500,000. And so there's different components of it, but the foundation management fee of this is only $675,000. Got it.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with Foundation. Thank you, Michael Marsicano. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman asked me great questions, and Tracy, I will have to own the June 8th date. Y'all know how hyper I am, and at that particular time, prior to May 18th, I thought it was doable, but I totally have had great conversations with Laura about what the foundation is going to do, and I do think it's a great process. I just share the same concerns with Councilmember Ashmere. Sooner the better. At the end of the day, we do want a quality program that we'll be proud of come June 22nd. Let me add something, though, that I think is very helpful, that I want to thank the Laura Smith for doing something unique, and that is the additional outreach. I think it is very important that all our small businesses get the opportunity to apply. Trace, I think those numbers are great. When you say 20% of our small businesses we will be able to reach, that number is a lot better than I thought earlier. And so kudos to staff and for the foundation, and we look forward to working with each other. Any other comments, Diallo, Mike, Mark, or Vinay?
Sorry, just real quickly, Tracy. So if the application, am I getting this right? The application will be ready for people to fill out and submit on the 22nd?
Yes, and we want to start getting the information out soon. Do we have a date for the information? So the information, we'll actually have a website stood up that has the basic overview, Foundation for the Carolinas will, has the basic overview of the program, and then the documents that people need to know. There's a set that would be a required list, and then there's you have to pick at least one from, and then there's a supplemental list that you can pick the other two from, or you can pick from the list as well. Yes, it'll be up in the next 48 hours.
Okay, yeah, that was my point. I said, as long as we get the information out there and then the forms, so people can at least start thinking about it, because, I mean, 8 days is a quick turnaround to get the applications, go through the screening process, and approve. So, all right, thank you.
Councilmember Mitchell, I think Mayor Pro Tem has her hand up. I just got a note. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead if any of the business leaders don't have, I want them to go if they had questions first. We'll make it.
Mark?
I do have a question.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the question is about the application process. We spent a lot of time in our last meeting about required documents and I won't say weighted rankings, but really prioritizing businesses as appropriate in terms of impact. And curious where that conversation is, or where we are in the process, what has been communicated to the foundation, and what the expectations are from the city at this time.
So I'm going to let you, and I'm going to ask Holly as well as Michael to answer that question. Sure, I'll begin. So I would say that really from the very beginning, when we started having conversations with the Foundation for the Carolinas team, it's about the ease of this process and the accessibility to all small businesses. And so that is actually the foundation of how this is being built. And so from the types of documentation, which are all accessible documentation, but we also are doing a huge amount of public outreach as well. And I wanted to say that, in the weeks up leading to June 22nd, we are available, my team and I, to actually talk through the application process with any groups that you all may have, really trying to make sure that we are able to do that outreach side of things. But yes, at the core is really what you all said for us to do, which is make it as accessible and as simple as possible. And that is what we are doing. Michael, do you have anything to add?
I don't obviously have any intention to micromanage the process, but I would like to see a list of those required documents, what we're requiring for each of the levels at the appropriate time when you guys have a final decision around that. Having been knee deep in application processes and helping small businesses with the PPP piece, I know that can be a long drawn out process in some cases for some businesses. So I'd love to have a view at that. When it's the right time.
So, well, just to put everybody's mind at ease, I'm going to get Holly to just walk you through the list really quick. It's a relatively short list, so it'll just take a second. Yeah, absolutely. So this is the one form of documentation that must come from this list. So you have to have at least one form. You can do all three from this, by the way. Just one has to come from this. An IRS letter with the business name and EIN, a bank statement with the business name, a utility bill with the business name, a mortgage statement with the business name, sales and use tax report for Mecklenburg County that has the business name on it, or a certificate of insurance with the business name. So those, again, are the menu of options that that a business would need to provide at least one of those. And again, they could pick all three from there as well. And then there's a second group. So this is the other options for our small businesses that are applying. And those are a lease agreement with the business name, a Schedule C from the 2018 tax return.
The reason why we're saying Schedule C is we really want to protect our sole proprietors and their confidential information. So they file jointly with their personal and professional. So just a Schedule C, a profit and loss statement, and then a balance sheet.
So is it true that, is my understanding that they would need to provide at least one from Group 1 and then one item from Group 2?
It's one from the first group, correct, and then it's 2 additional items from wherever any of these that are on the list.
Okay, thank you.
Mark or Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. The question I think got answered with regards to the forms, and I think to Ms. Wilson's point, that I'm a little bit like you all would love to get this out sooner, but the June 22nd date does give us the ability to get those that have been underrepresented up and ready to go as soon as, to be ready for that June 22nd date. So thank you for the outreach efforts. And D'Alva, any more information you can give us to help with that, I think, and Chad, would be really good. The other question I had is, has our $1 million of CDBG money that LISC was managing, has that all been granted at this point?
No, it has not. Do you have a latest number?
I do. So this money is incredibly, I would say there's a lot more challenges as far as the paperwork that is required, and that is not a LISC requirement. That is a HUD CDBG requirement. This is not typically, how CDBG funds are used, so it's pretty strenuous on the documentation standpoint. And so I would say that my latest numbers are there's 57 applications for that funding that are in process. LISC is having to do a heavy amount of follow-up with each of the applicants to get the documents, either there's documents missing or there needs clarifications on the documents, again, to meet the federal CDBG standards, and that there are 19 in the queue for awards.
Okay, that's all I had. And again, I think our emphasis between now and June 22nd needs to be to get the feedback that we can get from you all on what are the hurdles for companies that weren't able to access federal funding before. What are those hurdles, and have we accomplished the goals of overcoming those for our businesses?
One thing I will add to that point as far as compliance with the CARES Act funding, because that is federal funds. This has been an amazing partnership, and there's several city departments in here, as well as with the Foundation for the Carolina staff. And so what we build will actually ensure compliance with CARES Act. It's definitely a lot easier with the CARES Act than CDBG funding, but I just wanted to point that out as well.
I think D'Alva will agree. The PPP and all those, it was the process that was so cumbersome, right? I mean, they changed the requirements of while you were applying, and then you had to go back and do everything. So as efficient, as streamlined as we can make it, will be the right way to do it.
Absolutely.
I do agree, Renee. I can also provide some perspective, even from some of the banks who've been supporting and processing the applications with some of the hurdles that they've had and challenges that they've had. So I would say technical support is really, really important up front. And even in your outreach and communication before June 2nd, anything that you can do from an outreach standpoint to even walk through, people handhold a little more on the front end with technical support, workshops, outreach, templates, those types of things would be really helpful to not make the process of processing so burdensome and there be a lot of back and forth with the business owner. Holly, did you say how much money was left from the CDBG funding? I may have missed that.
So I don't actually, D'Alva, I don't have the amount of funding that's left. What I can tell you is there's 19 applications that are in the queue to be processed for payment, and that 57 applications are under review, but they're still in process. because of just getting the right documentation that's required by CDBG.
Holly, please remind me, are the all 19 funded at the same level, and what is that level? Were these $1,000 grants?
So I will have to get back to you on that. They were up to $10,000.
Okay,
So I'll have to get back to you on the amount.
thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem and Councilmember Mitchell, I think I got a note that Chad Turner would like to speak.
Go right ahead, Chad.
Hey there, can you hear me? Okay, a note on the getting the word out. What we've done is on the coalition side of things is we've scheduled a town hall with Julie, James, and also Tracy to take part with the coalition, and we've worked with our 15 different business groups within the coalition, and so it will be streamed live through each of their platforms as their YouTube channels, and this puts it in front of probably between 3,000 and 4,000 businesses, small businesses in Charlotte, and each of the groups will submit questions, and the moderator will utilize those questions to ensure there's no duplication of questions, but that the word gets out and that we're getting information. That's scheduled for June the 4th, I think at 6 or 6:30. Also, supportclt.com. There's still 6 agents taking calls there. They will assist people with PPP. We've worked with West End Partners, Historic West End Partners, and also Jatanya Adams with connecting with banks. We just recently had 5 businesses that had issues with the larger banks. Those 5 businesses were funded within 4 days of the PPP, and we've set them up with a pro bono person to help them navigate the forgiveness side of that. So if individuals want to call and walk through the applications and also speak to a CPA or a bookkeeper about the forgiveness side of things, or even navigating it with the smaller local banks that are actually funding in 3 to 4 days, there is still money available in the PPP in some of these banks. They can get in touch with supportclt.com through the hotline number, and they will connect them with that. We had 2 businesses this morning sign up, so we're hoping they'll be funded by the end of the week. But there are funds still available in PPP if the businesses can provide the correct paperwork and navigate the process. Also, thank you to the staff for this this timeline and also what you're doing. Obviously, we would have wanted this to go out a lot sooner. But we understand that the application build out was a little difficult, and this is great to see this getting off the ground.
Right.
Thank you. Tracy and Holly, do we want to hear from our special guest at this time?
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Mitchell. I think Michael is having problems with his mic. We may want to ask Laura to chime in.
Tracy?
Oh, there you are.
Tracy. So I was on my iPad and you could see me, and then I couldn't unmute it. And now on my computer, and I can't turn the camera around. So I'm waving to you. So I'm having technology problems today. I just want to say that we're here to serve our city. And I want to tell you that Tracy and Holly are just top-notch professionals on your team. I'm also extremely proud. We didn't even begin this conversation until about 10 days ago. And my team has worked 2 weekends in a row through the weekend to try to make, we tried so hard to make the June 8th deadline, but couldn't deliver you a quality product. I do think we are distinguishing ourselves as a community from the PPP quite dramatically by not being first come, first served, by doing a lot of education outreach, and we even have plans with hiring these furloughed people to be out in the different districts, meeting with people with social distancing to actually help them fill out the application if they have challenges in doing so. So I think you're going to be very proud of the product, and you're very proud to serve.
Great.
James, if you'd like to hear from Laura Smith or Nikhil Savant, one of my 2 top people on this, I think they're on as well, and I know you and Laura have talked somewhat. Your call.
Yes, I've been stressing Laura out. So Laura, the Don't say bad things about me, but Laura, do you have anything to add?
I won't say the bad things in front of you, James, but I think we're good to go. We're excited to work on this project. We think we can deliver a great product, and we are going to do that as fast as we possibly can to get this money out in the community.
Thank you. So staff, we want to move on to item number 3, update on partner support grant.
Yes, and so thank you, Councilmember Mitchell, and again, thank you to the Foundation of the Carolinas and everybody's help on the access to capital component to get us this far. We're excited to be able to move that piece of it forward. The Eco Partner support is something that we've been very passionate about, and I just surprised Holly about 10 minutes before the meeting started and said that I really wanted her to walk you all through where we are on this, because it's her and her team that have worked really hard to launch this, along with some other city staff out of communications and budget office and other places. And this is already out there. So this is a big win that I think we should celebrate today. And again, didn't want to take any thunder away from the hard work that Holly and everybody else has done. So I'm going to pitch it over to Holly to walk you through it.
Okay, thanks, Tracy.
Sure.
And Tracy was talking about the team. I do want to give a couple of shout outs to my teammates. I want to say Jerry and Jackson has been with Tracy and I in the Access to Capital and developing that, so we really thank her. What I'm about to talk about right now, Christy Floyd has been a tremendous asset and really has taken the lead on this process. And then for the mentorship series that I know we'll be talking about with the Open for Business, Alexis Gordon has been working closely with our communications team to get that done. So I'm very grateful, and it absolutely is a phenomenal team effort. So the existing partner grants, we heard you. This is from all the feedback that you guys have given us on this. We really appreciate it. I believe you'll be very happy with the process that has been designed, and actually the application period is open. This is a competitive process. $2 million has been put into this program to fund. It has to be partners that are government agencies, nonprofits, 501c3s, academic organizations, or 501c6s. And those organizations have to have and demonstrate to us a history of previously working with small businesses. All of the programs and projects must do something to alleviate COVID-19. There has to be evidence of that. The partners must spend the money in their entirety by December 30th of 2020. So those are the basics of the application. Again, if we want to go to the timeline, the application has been released. On Friday of last week, we sent a notice out to different groups and to the media as well that the application period would be open June 1st at 12 p.m. We're closing that application period June 11th. We have an internal review team. These are staff members from different departments to really ensure that we were meeting the review process that you all talked about wanting to see happen. We made sure that no economic development staff member is actually reviewing them. They will score the applications the week of June 15th, and then we will start the whole partnership agreement process, which is what we use internally. And so we really feel like those contracts, grants awarded, will be by the end of June. Again, the link there actually will take you to the description of the partner grant program, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You know you're doing a thorough job. There's no question.
That's right.
And let me echo some of the comments that Tracy made, Holly, about you and your team for just picking up this opportunity and really putting some clarity around it and the timeline. So really appreciate you and your staff hard work.
Great.
Okay. Nothing else. Let's move on. Is the vice chair on? Is Clark on yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I couldn't do this next item without you now, so I want to make sure.
Well,
We're talking about virtual and technology. So, staff, you want to talk about the open for business, or I turn it over to Councilmember Bakari?
no, I think that's much more appropriate for staff to give us an update on.
Okay.
Well, thank you both, Councilmember Mitchell and Councilmember Bakari. I've asked Jason Snyder to join me up here as well because corporate communications, while they have been working feverishly to do all of these virtual meetings, has also been working with us closely on creating this web-based platform that is not only kind of this virtual command center, but is something that lives beyond COVID, that really becomes as this platform that can convene small business. And so I've asked Jason to join, and he and I both will walk you through kind of what we're trying to build out and where we are with it in the timeline. Jason?
Morning, everybody. So when we look at what we're trying to build here, this is going to be a website. But it's really more than just a website. What we're really trying to focus on is a comprehensive, program-focused command center, a virtual command center, if you will, right? We want this to be more than just a list of lists, and have this be a very dynamic resource, not just for now, but in the future, and also a place that can grow as the need grows. As we get 3, 6, 9, 12 months into the future, what are the needs going to be? What does this need to look like? We want to have a flexible platform to be able to address some of those support needs. So, but first comes first. Primary focus is, in our phase 1, is what is the immediate support? So our launch timeline is aligned with the grant opportunities. We know that that is incredibly important, key, and the primary goal right now. So this will be launched by June 22nd to coincide for the grant applications. One of the things that we want to look at is on building some of our early wins, not just that we have on the Open for Business app, but also the temporary outdoor guidelines. But there are a lot of small businesses that have been innovative and successful. How do we highlight that? How do we showcase that? Not just to promote those businesses, but also help share those innovations and successes with the broader business community so other people can look at that. Certainly reopening guidelines and other business recovery resources. We've already done some of that as a city. But there's so much good work that's been done. I think one of the important things about this idea and where we're going is, we can be a convener, right? We can be the place where we bring all of the best-in-class approaches, get them into one place. So if you're a small business owner, we can have one go-to stop that brings everything in. I've had a lot of conversations. We all have had a lot of conversations with some of our partners across the city. And one of the things that I've been saying to them is, we don't want to own everything. We want to bring in all of the good work, all of our partners, and rising tide lifts all ships. And so I think we can pull that work in there. Mentoringship series is something that we've done and has been very, very successful, and we're going to continue. Out of the feedback we've gotten is that small business owners look to their peers for best practices and inspiration. That's been very successful, so we want to continue that. And as I mentioned, the Open for Business app, which we launched soon after COVID-19 and some of the shutdowns, that's been very, very successful. Integrate that here and then also start to think about how that evolves and where that grows, and what does that look like in the coming months and maybe years as an app that can support our small businesses around the community.
All right, I'm going to go to phase 2.
So then as we think about where this grows and creating this community, right, as I said, I think where we have an opportunity to differentiate ourselves is what's the programmatic aspects? How do we make this live on for a long time? These are all aspects that we've heard from small business owners, we've heard from you about what's important and valuable. So the workforce programs and job resources, talent development programs, resiliency resources, that PPE connection, and confidence guides. And I want to talk a little about the confidence guides. Because I think one of the opportunities we have, and one of the concepts behind launching the Open for Business initiative and really having that brand mark there, is how do we give people a sense of solidarity to our community, both the broader community, but also our small business community, and also how do we help the community at large with their confidence to go back out. I think that's one of the biggest things we've seen, or I've seen in the past week or so, is just because the business is open doesn't mean people are ready to go out. How do we help build the confidence within the community to go out, start revisiting those small businesses and getting back out there? So I think there's an opportunity to do some of that through some marketing and PR. I think there's a tremendous opportunity to do some storytelling in that medium and long term to kind of build that up, and certainly working with a lot of our partners who are doing some of that work already, and how do we kind of collaborate, come together, create some efficiencies so that we're all kind of in lockstep in lifting up the business community.
Perfect. Any questions? Comments on the?
Yeah, this is Vinay Patel. I mean, I think the last point there, that whole question of confidence is something that we have to focus on this Thrive part. I personally think that there is a lot of pent-up demand, but at the end of the day, I mean, we can only execute on it if people have a confidence, feel safe, feel secure. So whatever we can do, whatever we can use to drive that confidence, I mean, we've been doing it on the hospitality side and the restaurant side forever, talking about, what we're doing to make sure that you guys, that our potential customers are safe. So, and that goes across the spectrum of businesses that we're looking at helping.
Hey, thanks. Hey, this is Malcolm. I apologize. Who was discussing the website? I didn't get that individual.
Oh, this is Jason Snyder, our corporate communications director.
Oh, okay. And who's building the website?
So we've got a group that we've actually been working with on some other projects where we had some funds still available. So we know we needed to move quickly and efficiently. So we started the process before, frankly, the funds were approved because we wanted to move quickly. So we're going to get this up and running. And then we've also separately, we had going through an RFP process for some other groups unrelated to this. So we're going to, we've essentially got 3 different processes going that we're going to kind of align so we can create some efficiency and keep things moving, as opposed to having to go through kind of the traditional procurement process, which might slow us down a little bit. We're going to use some in-house resources, and we're going to use some external resources because we want to move quickly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that in the selection of the external resources that it's a transparent, fair process, and that, others be given an opportunity. Because I think that's what continue to aid in the big problem we have, is that certain organizations are always selected, and then certain, which tend to be minority women-owned businesses, are not in the hunt for opportunity. So as long as it's a fair, transparent opportunity, I think that makes sense.
And Malcolm, you raise a great point. Jason and I have had conversations of making sure that we are using local and small businesses as well. It doesn't make sense to hire somebody, from outside or from New York or to build this out when we're not making sure we're supporting our own community here. So we've had those conversations.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. Any other comments, questions? If not, I'm going to ask Mark Bittner if he can end us up today with a little bit of an update on kind of economic outlook of where we are. Mr. Bittner?
All right, and I'll keep it fairly short here. In terms of the most recent data, most of the data that we're seeing reflects the month of April, which was probably the very worst of the data. We continue to see declines in most things in May, but we're seeing some improvement in some things, like motor vehicle sales came back a little bit. And when you look at some of the daily data, or even the weekly data, hotel occupancy came up a little. It's around 35, 36% in late May compared to 24% in April. 36, 37% is half of what, not even half of what normal would be, a little bit less than half of what normal would be this time of year. But the direction is improving, and so we expect to see a little bit more improvement in the month of June. And actually, from a overall macro perspective, we would expect to see a net gain in employment in June. And as I mentioned back at the start, where I talked about the progression, that it might even look like a V-shaped recovery in the third quarter because the numbers are so large. We won't actually recapture, we won't actually regain everything that we lost in the second quarter. It's just that we're coming off such a low base that the percentage gains will be fairly large. But it does look like things have turned a little bit. The other thing that I'd point out is that there seems to be a big difference between the folks that were most impacted tended to be in the leisure and hospitality, retailing, and in the healthcare industry. That's where the bulk of the layoffs were. And when you look at professional services, things are holding up reasonably well. And that may be why we're seeing some of the surprising numbers in the housing data, where mortgage applications for the purchase of a home are actually higher today than they were pre-COVID, and higher today than they were a year ago. So there's some green shoots out there that's encouraging. I think that this summer will probably be the best opportunity that we're going to see this year for some fairly solid economic gains, and we're going to regain some of the losses that we incurred. So that's what I've got.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Mitchell or any other council members? I think that's all we have on our side.
Hey, Mark.
I want to yield to Mayor Pro Tem of Councilmember Bakari for any closing comments.
I didn't have any comments. I was just going to ask Mark a quick question. Do you have any intel on small business stats? I think some of what you just said, macro level, looks pretty promising and hopeful. What about nationally or North Carolina or even Charlotte? Any updates from the small business numbers you've been telling us before?
Well, we do have quite a bit of data from small business, and now small business really runs the gamut. And a lot of people, one of the things that came clear in the PPP process is that what some people consider to be small business, other people don't. I mean, one definition is a business that employs under 500 people. Another is 3 to 5 million in annual revenues. Some would think it's less than $1 million in annual revenues, and it really differs by industry. And small businesses that are in the hospitality industry are struggling. And I think that there's a lot of frustration because as people have reopened, even before the unrest and the challenges that presented, as they reopened, they found that we can't really make the numbers work. It's very difficult to make the numbers work. Starbucks is having a tough time making the numbers work, and they came out. They have their announcement. As you can read in today's Wall Street Journal, though, they're asking employees to reduce hours or to take voluntary furloughs. So if Starbucks is having trouble, and you think about a Starbucks, it's run pretty much like a small business with many of them are small businesses because if they're franchisees. I think that folks who don't have that consistent set of protocols in place are probably having an even greater problem. But small businesses that are in the manufacturing sector, some of the Charlotte area businesses like Parkdale Mills were at the forefront in the production of protective equipment, and so we've seen some small and mid-sized companies that have actually done fairly well in manufacturing, and car dealers seem to be doing okay. They seem to be okay given the circumstances. They had a fairly decent month of May. Their expectations were fairly low, so we are seeing some things that are positive, but it's the further you get away from customer contact, the better that things look.
That's helpful. Thanks, Mark. I just remind us all that we've got multiple fronts of massive topics we're dealing with right now. And between that and seemingly stats on paper that I think are very true at a macro level of the summer could get better, I think we need to remember small businesses are very much still in the woods right now. Our workforce that depends on them and our larger businesses are still very much in the woods. So we can't take our foot off this gas pedal for 1 second.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Good. I'll cede my time to anybody else who has any last comments.
Malcolm, Diallo, Chad, Danae, any last comments?
Yeah. Hey, this is Malcolm. It'd be good to hear from Mark. I know we were expecting a pretty ugly number on Friday, but what do you think unemployment is going to end up at the end of the year?
Yeah, in terms of the end of the year, it'll look better than it does today, because we have, these are horrendous numbers that we have today, and 78% of the job losses have been deemed temporary. But what we're seeing is that many of those temporary job losses are actually turning into more permanent. The unemployment rate on Friday will probably get up to 20%. We're expecting, our forecast is for 9 million job losses nationally. One thing to remember about this, the federal, state, and local reported employment data is they measure from mid-month to mid-month.
Yep.
The crisis really began to take off in the middle of March, and so that period from mid-March to mid-April was the absolute worst. In mid-April to mid-May was probably the second worst. But from mid-May to mid-June, which data we'll get a month from now, that's when the economies began to reopen a little bit. And my general sense from going around and talking with businesses is that they have seen, I mean, there's been some pent-up demand, and we have seen folks coming back out a little bit. I just don't know whether it's going to be sustained enough and it's strong enough for them to make the numbers work. And it's going to be challenging. I mean, I don't know if it is, and even if it is, it's going to be just barely so. So it's going to be challenging for a lot of folks.
Right. And it's probably, is it fair to say the period we call an improving period, the unemployment number is still 10 times higher than the normal at 2+ million unemployment claims per week is typically higher than the 250,000 normal type per week.
Yeah, well, it's about 10 times more than what we saw prior to the recession, but that was actually the lowest levels that we'd seen in 50 years. So if you kind of get a normal number, it doesn't, not to make it look any better, normal number would be around 300,000 a week would kind of be a normal number. So it's still about 8 or 9 times higher. This week, we're thinking that jobless claims will probably be around 1.8, 1.9 million. So it'll be the 9th week in a row that we've seen that the number have come back down. One of the things about the jobless claims, though, is that because of the federal program, the pandemic unemployment assistance, a lot of people filed for that too early, and then they have to refile again. Now, it's not going to make, if we've had 40 million claims or so in total, it's not going to mean that it's 30 million instead of 40. It might be 36 instead of 40. But that's one of the problems that we have. And that's one of the reasons that there's been this gap between unemployment claims, first-time claims, and continuing claims. And the other thing is the continuing claims are actually coming down a little bit, which suggests that hiring has picked up a little bit. It's incremental improvement. It's not, we're still a long way back from normal.
Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Mitchell?
Yes.
That's true. Mitchell's not even.
Yes. Diallo, Chad, any closing comments?
I just want to say congratulations and kudos to the staff. You guys have done a great job at really assimilating all of the feedback that we provided, and something that I think will be really helpful for the community. So congratulations and thank you for doing that. I just look forward to continuing to be engaged and providing feedback as it relates to the outreach efforts and some of the great work that Foundation has done. I know Foundation is very capable, so we look forward to the great work that they will do as well. So kudos to staff.
Great. Thank you.
Danae?
I just wanted to follow up real quickly on what Mark was saying, just in terms of hospitality. At the end of the day, The pent-up demand was definitely there. The beaches, the mountains, where people can go out are thriving. We've got nothing in the beaches or mountain of North Carolina, but we're in Myrtle Beach. As soon as they lifted the stay-at-home order, we were 95% and 100% on weekends and selling 80 to 100 rooms during the week. So for the month of May, we finished, and it was towards the end of May, so it wasn't good. We still finished 65% occupancy, and we're running to almost 70 there. Looking at Charlotte Metro, in the Charlotte region, we've got 12 hotels in the area. April was probably 90% off. May was 80 to 85% off. Collectively, there are some pockets that are doing well. At the end of the day, as we start this Thrive process, we need to ensure that we get the other agencies involved so that we're doing destinational advertising as well, kind of promoting that we're a destination. Let's get people back into the city from drive distance, whatever it is, being part of the CRVA board. That's something that we're waiting on. As soon as the market opens up, as soon as the economy opens up, and people can have more than 25 people outside or inside, then we start talking about it. Right now, telling people to travel is probably a bad message, but when the time is right, we need to make that happen and have people come and visit Charlotte, enjoy Charlotte, not just folks from Charlotte, but people within a 3 to 5 hour drive radius.
Vinay, I want to let you know really quickly that we are actually having those exact conversations. Brent Cagle and I with Tracy Montross, some others had that conversation yesterday. We're continuing that and talking about how it fits within what we're doing, but also as we think about other elements of Thrive. So those conversations are going on.
Sarah, I apologize. I did not know you were with us, so please forgive me. And so anything you'd like to share, we'll let you have the last word.
Hi, no, everything looks great. I'm really excited about this program. I echo the sentiments of Diallo, where this program feels like it's really on track, and I'm really excited to share it with all of my small business owners as well as we move into the phase 1 application. So thanks everyone for your hard work.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, anything else we need to go over?
No, I don't think so. Now I just, and I missed the first couple minutes, I apologize. So if this was already said, I'm just reiterating how much we appreciate all your all's help. We were really proud that we got this passed unanimously last week, the Survive portion, so that staff can continue to do the good work they're doing to get this thing rolling with a sense of urgency. So thank you to our participants. Thank you to staff for everybody coming together and really helping us make this the best process we can. I think it's going to be one of the best in the country. I haven't seen any city that's doing as much in the way of small business grants as we are. Send me the info if you see differently, but we're really trying to dig deep for our small businesses.
Chad Turner has the last question. Chad.
No question. Just wanted to also say thanks to staff for working through this. I know that it's been a long process. And we met with most of the coalition members over the weekend, and their extreme pleasure of working through this process with Mayor Pro Tem James, Tarek, and Dimple, and as well as this board. They're very pleased with the outcomes of what the product is going to be, and they look forward to work through the process to see this to the very end.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate everyone's time and feedback. And we will talk about meeting probably not next week, but the following week. Staff has told me we need to give you all a break. And so let us have a conversation about that and get some out to you by Friday. Fair enough? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.